Okay, I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Town Board of Trustees for August 14th, 2019 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Will the acting town clerk please call roll?
Sorry, just 1 minute. Trustee Wakeman?
Here.
Trustee Burak? Here. Trustee Ehrlich?
Here.
Trustee Smith?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin?
Here.
Have I missed anyone? Holly Traylor?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I don't know that we're clear on the item on the agenda we're talking about an ordinance for our fees. I believe Habitat for Humanity and the Milliken Housing Authority are asking us for a commitment, which to me might be a separate line item to what is on our agenda.
They are two separate line items.
They are two separate.
B and
They're
C.
on their separate, okay. Great, then we're fine.
Anything else? Okay. Take a motion.
I move we approve the agenda.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we are at citizens' comment. Do we have any citizens' comments? Okay. We'll move right over to our guest speaker. We have Superintendent of the RE5J School District, Leslie Arnold.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, trustees, and community members. Leslie Arnold, Superintendent of Schools for the Weld RE5J School District. I'm going into my second year, so I'm very excited to be back here. When I first started, I was here as well. This year, though, I'd really like to just talk a few minutes about a couple things that are happening at our school. As you know, or maybe some of you know, we started our middle school and our high school, and we had the largest sixth grade class coming into Milliken Middle School that it's ever seen. We have over 300 students that are entering sixth grade, and plus there was the smallest eighth grade class leaving Milliken Middle School, but it is now the largest freshman class at Roosevelt High School. So you can see that our town is growing, and we are certainly feeling those pressures. I want to just update the rest of the town council. We had a great conversation with Mayor Pro Tem and Trustee Wakeman on some of the things that have been happening in our school district. I'm sure that you've seen modulars in front of our buildings. They are there for the exact same reason why what I just told you, is that we are seeing more and more students. In fact, Milliken Elementary School is our largest elementary school in the Weld RE5J school district right now. We're closing in with them. Preliminary numbers are going to be a little bit around 645 students at Milliken Elementary School. And that's more than Pioneer Ridge and of course, at Letford Elementary School. So the school board they voted to put modulars so that we could do full-day kindergarten in all of our elementary schools, which this will be the first year we're starting with full-day kindergarten. And the modulars were then to have our older students move out and to make room for the kindergartners inside of our building. We are right now trending at 260 kindergartners in our entire school district, which is 40 more than what we had last year. So we are seeing some high numbers, which is why we've had to put in some different modular systems and be creative with our space. And the other thing that I'd like to just mention as well is that, and just ask, and maybe our town administrator can help me with this, is that as school is starting next week for our elementary school, we need some crosswalks painted by Milliken Elementary School. So I don't know who to go to for that, but when you did the repaving or the resurfacing, we don't have any crosswalks around Milliken Elementary School, and school starts on the 19th. So I don't know if we can help or do something with that, but we would like to get some crosswalks. Yes?
Do we have what we need to do that now?
Thank you
We'll
so
get it
much.
this week.
Thank you so much.
Just
Wow,
ask, we'll
see?
get it done.
You
We're
come
ready to
here,
work
look
with
at,
you.
look what happens. This is awesome. So the last thing that, and certainly I'll be open for questions as well, is I'd left some pieces of material on at your desk, and you may have heard that we are possibly going out to a bond and a mill levy override this November 5th. And the school board will be having a work session from 5 to 7 p.m. next Wednesday to really talk about the projects that I put in front of you today. And then on August 28th at 7:30 p.m., the school board will meet again to finalize ballot language and to get it into the Blue Book and into not just Weld County, but we also have Larimer County as part of our school district, so we have to be in both counties for the bond and the mill. And I have extras over there if anyone else in the audience would want any, but the thing that I really wanted to share with you, first of all, is this card is just an overview. The white side is the bond. Bond is for buildings. And this is kind of the high overview of what we're planning to do throughout the entire school district. And then the mill levy override is really about the operations, and that's the yellow side of this card. These are some things that the school board is considering of what to increase and enhance within our school district, which could be the school-based mental health professionals, additional school resource officers. Here in Milliken, we have our SRO, Jason Tope, that goes between Milliken Elementary School and Milliken Middle School. We would like to get that expanded to have a SRO in every school building. And so we would like to consider that if and when the mill levy override passes. Certainly this is about career and tech education and some other things. But the thing that I guess I'll do this really quick too. This one is really just about kind of debunking some of the myths. Like if you look at the back, Shields is not in our community. It is not in our school district. It is in Johnstown, but it's not in our school district, so we do not get any of that commercial or residential impact in that 2534. So this is just kind of giving you an overview of some of the questions that we frequently get from our community members. But the last thing that I really wanted to just quickly go over with you, in that this is going to be next week in the Johnstown Breeze. The Johnstown Breeze will be delivering to every mailbox in Johnstown and Milliken, every mailbox, not just subscribers, but every mailbox. We're going to have a 12-page insert of Back to School. And every one of these pictures will be in that insert as well. But this is really about, the board has been very thoughtful of thinking and not just what is going to make the best impact right now, but really looking towards the future. We have more housetops, as you all know, coming into Milliken than we are Johnstown right now. Thank you. So we have to kind of build for that future. It's not just adding on a couple modulars. It's really about thinking about how can we make strong school system in all of our communities, but especially with the two schools that we have here in Milliken. So I'm not going to go through everything, except Letford, we did receive an $8.3 million grant from the BEST grant. That's more commonly known as like the marijuana tax money. And that has to be a matching grant, so we have to pass this bond or we lose $8.3 million with that. But I really wanted to drive your attention to, kind of towards the end, the new Milliken Middle School. This is part of Bond 1. When we surveyed the community both in 2017 and earlier in 2019, it came out equally, almost exact numbers, that the support for a new high school or a new middle school. Well, we can't do both because it's very expensive to build. So what the board is considering right now is to really be thinking about what this new Milliken Middle School would look like, because we are at capacity at the current school, plus that building isn't meeting the instructional needs for the students. So we have land donated to us off of Irene and Inez, and you have a little map here. And that is going to be sold to us for $1. And then if the bond does not pass, we have to sell it back for $1.02 or something, I don't know. But we will sell it, we'll have to give it back to the landowner. And this is 36 acres. The current middle school is sitting on 14 acres. This is 36 acres, so you could see that there's a lot of possibility for enhanced play areas for not just the school, but the community, but ball fields, soccer fields, football, those types of things, track, which of course, in our school district, we allow the community to use our facilities at nights, weekends, summers, et cetera. So we do not close it off to the community. So we would be building kind of some recreational spaces there as well. And on the west side of the property, we would put our new transportation center. So this is going to be an impact on certainly the roads around Inez and so forth, and getting from off of the Roosevelt property currently and onto the new Milliken Middle School property. So I'm going to stop there and see if there's any questions about this, and then I'll wrap it up. Are there any questions before I go on?
Can I get a copy of the wording for your bond issue after the 28th meeting?
You
And I'll get
absolutely
it to our board on the 11th meeting that we have.
Thank you.
All right.
I will absolutely do that. Thank you, Tim. And so with that, if you go back a page, once that middle school is built, our school board has really been thoughtful of how do we use our existing buildings and honor kind of the history of these buildings. The current middle school will be transformed into a new Milliken Elementary School that could hold over 700 students. And so to kind of orient you to this map, is the new wing of the building is where the current football field is, if you're looking at it. And then that would be a two-story, I think it's like 50,000 square foot, two-story building. For classroom spaces, we would keep the gym, we would keep both gyms, the cafeteria, and have the front of the building be where the current parking lot is and extend parking, and then demolish part of the building to the south, and that would be the new play area, et cetera, for the future Milliken Elementary School, which is, that play area is right across the street from Lola Park, which could be some interesting things that we could do maybe together, looking future-wise with kids and park space and things like that. And then the current Milliken Elementary School, we also received a BEST grant to replace the roof. That is a matching grant as well, so that will be part of the bond. And then that school would, with the growth that we're seeing in Milliken, would be transformed into a smaller elementary school to take the additional growth that's coming here in Milliken. So it could start out like a pre-K2 or a pre-K3 and kind of grow into it, but that school will also be transformed. There's a lot more to the plan, and as Peggy Wakeman knows, I could speak for another hour on this, but I won't. So I know you have an agenda ahead of you. But if there's any other parts of this that you would like me to speak about or give a little overview about, I would be happy to do so.
Ms. Arnold, could you please go over the MLO and the proposed bond amount, how the breakdown is on that?
Perfect. So when we started doing the survey in early 2019, our bonding capacity and the assessed value of all of our communities, not just in Milliken, but all of our households, created, when we started looking at it, it was going to be for the bond, about $140 million bond to do all of this work. It was going to be starting out at $26 a month, but that's not the price. So with the new assessed values, if you're homeowners, you know that your value of your home has increased, plus all the new residents in the town has brought that down. So this was now, as of today, hot off the press, is $17 a month per $300,000 assessed value home. Not a market value home, but an assessed value home. So that's about, six, I was doing per 100,000, $6 and some change per 100,000. So you would subtract or add based on your home value. And that's for the bond part. For the mill levy override, which is, you need both, but they have to be two separate items on a ballot. For the mill levy override, that is a $4 million increase into the school district's budget. That doesn't go anywhere else but Weld RE5J, and that would be an additional, as of today, $11 a month. So it'd be 17 plus 11 total on a $300,000 assessed value home. I hope that was, does that make sense?
You said that well.
Thank you,
That made sense.
thank you.
36.
Questions?
If you look in here, part of, in the inside, we have not gone out for a bond or a mill levy override since 2003. We've not asked taxpayers to help with schools or support schools more than what they are already doing. And in the middle part here, it shows that we are one of the lowest resident investments into the school system. Now, we know, I also know Fort Lupton went out for a bond, and I think Gilcrest is going out again. We have about 55% of our tax base into our school district is from oil and gas. They will be hit triple the amount on their assessed value than a residential. So oil and gas will be paying their fair share of this,
As long as they're here.
as long as they're here, and they are here, yes.
Is there a reason that we don't go out for smaller bonds to do just like individual projects rather than doing one big bond at a time?
I think that's a great question, and I think if you kind of look at history, and I can't really speak to the board or the superintendent that was here prior, but there was a pretty big recession in 2008, so they went out in 2003. Pioneer Ridge was built around 2006, and typically schools will go out every 3 to 5 years to do some of those to keep the improvements going. The recession hit, and that took a while to recover, probably 2010, 11-ish, so it was a little sluggish there. And then when you start looking at bonding capacity, the growth wasn't here either. The more homes that come in, the higher bonding capacity we have. So the school district was still paying off the first bond from 2003. And so as they were paying it and growth was slow and a recession, the homes weren't valued as much as they are today. It was kind of, in my mind, kind of like a perfect storm, that it made it challenging, I would imagine.
I think that's one of the things that we need to place an emphasis on when we talk to the
Yes.
citizens in town, because I've noticed a lot of social media with some suggestions from our people that maybe we stop issuing building permits. Maybe we should stop paying taxes until the schools catch up, none of which are reasonable.
Right.
And I don't think people understand the impact of those types of suggestions.
And we get a lot of, well, why can't Milliken chip in some, or why can't Johnstown build this? Well, we're two separate government entities. We have our own bonding and taxing authorities. And so we don't, especially in Johnstown, our school district, as you can see, isn't all in Johnstown's boundaries. I mean, all that Shields money is going to Loveland. So, but it's the town of Johnstown. And so we have two different kind of taxing authorities. But one thing that we were really thinking of doing, and I'm hoping that you would consider doing it with us, Mayor Pro Tem, is doing some kind of Facebook 30-second, 45-second, like, hey, did you know? Here's why we don't do this, and here's why controlled growth is good, and here's how oil and gas is helping, and those types of things. I think it would be, since social media is kind of the place where people are venting, Facebook could be a good avenue to do maybe some of these live types of conversations with our community.
Agreed.
So,
Thank you.
Ms. Arnold, could you please address the next community meeting, where and when?
oh
And how
man,
was the one tonight?
could you please, because I don't have it in front of me.
27th here,
It's
please.
here, thank you, I didn't know the date. It's the 27th, and it's here, and it's from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's open at any time. It's not, you don't have to stay for the whole time. You can just show up when you can to get your questions. We'll talk more about this, but remember, this is going to every homeowner next Thursday and Friday with the Johnstown Breeze. So we're very excited about that. So if you're going to do any kind of advertising, do it for the next week's Breeze, because it's going to have a huge viewership. And we really appreciate the partnership we have with the Breeze on that as well, so.
Will you have a notice in there about the public meeting?
We're creating that now, and I can put that in there. That's a great idea.
All right.
Thank you.
So is that the meeting they're going to talk about the new high school as well? Or?
No, I can talk about the high school now if you want, I mean, because it's part of the bond, yes. So as I said earlier, when we did both surveys for all of the community, and we had a couple thousand people submit the survey, that it was equal to a new high school or a new middle school. Middle schools are significantly less because you don't have to have as much land because middle schoolers don't drive. So you don't need the parking spots and you don't need the athletic complex, et cetera, for that. So in this, moving forward at the very end, the last sheet of this is, for this bond, there will be some significant improvements to Roosevelt High School as it is. Currently, we're sitting at about 1,100 students at Roosevelt. That could fluctuate over the next couple weeks as kids move in and out. But as of today, we were around 1,100, which is almost 150 more than it was last year. And so what we're looking at for this renovation for the current Roosevelt High School is, if you know where the front of the school is, we would move the front to where back to where the auditorium is and do a two-story kind of classroom admin piece there, and we would close off the current front of that building, and we would add some more classroom space. And this would be preparing this site to be a future middle school because we will be growing into a 2 middle school community here probably within 7 years. And so part of this current bond for November is the very last page, is also giving the board the capacity to have, to be able to make a purchase of 80 acres for a new high school. Currently, the Roosevelt sits on 26 acres. We need 80 acres. And if you live by Roosevelt, you would appreciate 80 acres, space in between students driving and walking and so forth. So we need 80 acres, and this is just a site fit. This is why we need so much, because when you have athletic events, then you have the parents coming, you have cars, you have kids, et cetera. And this is just a site fit at the back that's saying if we could have 80 acres, this is what we would have to put on this. And we would then, with this bond, build kind of an all-district stadium. Our current Roosevelt Stadium cannot hold a playoff game or a championship game, and we have a lot of high hopes for our team. So we would build like an all-district stadium, because eventually, if growth continues the way it is, and I know it's hard to see 20 years from now, but we are anticipating that this will be a 2 high school district, similar to, if you look at Windsor and Severance, we're following that same kind of trajectory. And so if we build an all-district stadium here, they could just be practice fields at the other high school, and they would play all their games at a really nice facility. And we can start moving the athletics over to the property to start doing construction over at the current Roosevelt. And so right now the board will be seeing next Wednesday 4 options for a new high school site. We have 3 80-acre parcels that have been donated, and we have 1 that is a possible purchase. And so in Weld, it's very difficult to find 80 acres without oil and gas on it. And these all have some challenges because we can't build a school facility within a certain distance of active oil and gas. But we did find about 4 properties that could work for a potential new high school site. So the board will more than likely narrow it down to maybe 2, and then have options open after the bond if something else comes up that they could also select. But the minimum is 80 acres that we are requesting for the high school.
So this will be just one high school. There's not going to be 2 high schools.
You're right. The second high school is probably 20 years from now, is what we're saying. This high school, the future high school that we would be building within the next 5 to 7 years, would be for 1,400 kids. And as growth projection is that that would start getting full probably, I think we're thinking So if that's built in 6 more years, like in 5 or 6 years after that, it would start getting full. And then that would be time for another bond to start looking, because then the bonding capacity would go up, because there'd be more households, and then we would look at building another high school to support,
Miss
similar to
Ar-
Severance. Yes,
Are any of those high schools plotted land in Milliken?
they are. One is, yes. 3 are in Johnstown. 2 of those Johnstown are in Weld County, one's in Larimer County, but it's still in our school district. And then there's one in Milliken,
Does that have infrastructure on it yet at this time?
meaning oil and gas.
No water?
No. That would be something we'd have to talk to either town about on roads, utilities, all of that.
Okay.
Yep. None of them would have, because they're all just land, so none of them would have the infrastructure. Yep. And that is next Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m.
Is when you decide?
No, is
Oh,
when the
okay.
board will see it
They'll see
and
it,
see
okay.
their options, and they'll decide what to do from there. Yeah. I don't believe, and I'm not going to speak for the board, and Peggy can maybe chime in as well, they may just narrow it down, because I think that they may want their options open too, because there may be a landowner that says, okay, now that you got the bond, let's work out a deal that's more favorable in this area. So they all have pros and cons to each site,
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
You were looking at one property that would be in Weld County, on the county, but it would be kind of in between Milliken and Johnstown. That one is not viable anymore.
It is not viable. We were looking, and I'll just go ahead and say it because it's not viable, and it's not what the board will see next week. It's the Archdiocese property, and it sits high above, not where they're wanting to build the Catholic church, but they have, I think it's like 80 acres, 60 acres were only usable. And when we talked to the town of Johnstown, well, it's not annexed in any town, and Johnstown was like, I don't think that they could get water there. So we didn't know how, since we have other options, we didn't think that that was going to be a viable site. And it's too small for what we need. But the views are amazing. It's really pretty up there. Yeah.
It would be between the 2 towns, and then that way you would have support from both towns.
It doesn't
from a
straddle.
Yeah.
It is still Johnstown. It butts up to the Milliken line, but it is still Johnstown. Yep.
It's on the line, though.
It's on the line, yes. Thank you very
Another
much.
point that I think is somewhat interesting probably to both Johnstown and Milliken is that part of our school district is in the town of Berthoud, and there is a development called Wilson Annexation, and basically it surrounds Northmore Acres. If any of you are familiar with Northmore Acres in the southern part of our school district, and that development has come to our attention. We've known about it, but it looks like more is going to be happening in that area. So we will be drawing kids from the very southwestern corner of our district, possibly within the next 5 to 10 years also. So that's major for us. And then there's land for sale at Highway 34 and 257 that potential development could impact us greatly too. So not only are we looking at what we all consider our school district, we're going to the outer boundaries of our district as we look at the new development that's projected for our area.
And I think that's a good point, because we have not just been meeting with Milliken and Johnstown, we've also been meeting with Berthoud, because the Wilson project is anticipated to bring like 4,400 rooftops in. And that's across the interstate from where the Loves is off of I-25. That is all, as you can see, we cross into Berthoud. That's all Berthoud land, and they've actually told us they want to call it Berthoud East. So I'm not really certain what we're going to do with the Johnstown Milliken School District at that point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. They've been waiting for CDOT, and as you know, with all the improvements on I-25, CDOT has gone faster on the frontage road, and so they're anticipating shovel in the dirt. The email I received was probably 2 to 3 years, the first shovel in the dirt over there. So,
Interesting.
and all those houses won't come at once, like Ms. Wakeman said. Hopefully.
That'd be a lot.
That'd be a lot.
Well, how do you see that the town of Milliken and Weld RE5J can work together? What can we do to assist during this proposal and development within our school district?
That's a great question, thank you. So part of it is once the board on August 28th does the ballot language, the staff of the Weld RE5J and the school board have to go into a Fair Campaign Act where if people ask us, I couldn't stand up here and just say it one-sided. I'd have to say both views of the pros and cons of the bond. We have right now an issue committee that is designed to support this campaign. And so they will take over on August 28th. So they'll be doing Facebook posts, they'll be doing letters to the editors, they'll be doing those types of things. What I would ask from the Milliken Town Board is, if supported, we would love to have a town resolution in support of the bond and the mill levy override. Letters to the editor would be great. Things like that, I think, and talking to the community and getting information. I know, we are in it's hard to get people face to face. People want to get their news, on Facebook. So, and then a lot of news on Facebook isn't always the most accurate. And so we see the rumors out there too, and the myths and so forth. And it's just really encouraging people, if you don't have the answer to a question that you get, that you encourage people to seek to get the correct answers. And we can still talk to people, and we can still but as you go into a Fair Campaign Act, you have to be a little bit more careful of how you speak and using the perception of using taxpayer money to do this, meaning even my time coming out. So if I went to go speak to Rotary, I cannot be Leslie Arnold's superintendent doing that. I'd have to take personal time to go do that after August 28th. So we need advocates. We need people out there asking the right questions, sharing the news that they know, and certainly for you as a government entity, any show of support would be hugely appreciated. It would go a long way.
Any other questions?
Good.
You gave us a lot of information.
Yes, it's a little overwhelming. This is, though, 2 years of work, so,
Seems like a lot of work.
yeah. Well, I only did 1 year, but like Mrs. Wakeman has been at this for a few years now, and our school board has certainly been involved. But this has been a great, I think we've tried to get a lot of community involvement. We were at Beef and Bean Day. Great job. We had a lot of fun in the parade. We were hoping there was a judge's station. There wasn't, so that's okay. We still felt like we won the parade, but we did have a great time, and we met about 60, 70 people came to our tent that day, and so I thought we had some really good feedback. The other thing I think, and I want to make sure I say this, is to get people registered to vote.
Yes.
Because this is an off-year election, people don't track it. When we crossed our parent list with registered voters in our community, we are about 40-45% registered voters of parents. That could be because they've moved and they've not changed their address, those types of things. They're not tracking it. So at back to school nights, and I'm looking at Ms. Spirac because she's at one of our schools. Tomorrow, we will be there not just talking about this, but getting people signed up to vote. Because it's an off year, they may be like, maybe not. But we do need people to really get registered as well. It's a ballot, mail-in ballot, so easy. Okay.
I do have one more question.
Oh, great.
So at the back to schools, will
Yes.
this be available for people to see? Or-
Yes, but we're not going to print it because we're printing it in the Breeze next
Okay.
week. But we have huge poster boards that we will have at the schools as well.
Okay.
And so we're not doing a sit-down meeting. We're going to try to pull as many parents in, but get them to register to vote, sign up for free and reduced lunch if they need that
Right.
service, get their school supplies, those types of things. They're not going to, parents, I'm not anticipating are going to want to sit and talk 45 minutes about this. So we're going to try to just do some overviews and then let them know that it's coming out
Okay.
in the Breeze.
And you'll be at each of these schools?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we have 2 tomorrow night. Milliken Elementary School and Ledford are at the same time, so I won't be at both of those. I think I'm at Ledford. So, and our chief academic officer is at Milliken Elementary tomorrow night, supporting it. So,
All right.
we will be there.
I'll see you at the KQA one.
I won't be there
Oh,
for
no, you won't be
KQA. They wanted to do their own table,
Oh,
but that is a good point. KQA is also part of the bond.
yeah, I noticed that.
So they do have their own plans. You'll notice we don't have a sheet for them because they have their own drawings, their own architect renderings. They're going to expand some classrooms, expand the art room, and add a bathroom possibly. So I know that they already have their plans. And so I'm hoping that they will get it out to that community as well. But we need their votes as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for saying that.
Since we're talking about KQA, do you want to address how much money goes to KQA from our bond proposal then?
So KQA asked for $1 million, and that was, we invited them, so by law, we had to invite them formally, which we did at a board meeting, and then they they accepted formally. And then when they got their scope of what they needed for mechanical, I think they had some fire suppression stuff that they needed to have done, plus some expansion to some of their classrooms. It came to a little bit under $1 million, so we were just rounding up for them. But they will get, for the mill levy override, if it's $4 million a year, they will get the per pupil amount. So how many pupils we have in all of Welldari 5J, if KQA has 410, they would get 410 times when it was divided out by $4 million of how many kids we have. So they would get this money as well. And these are the things that they had asked for as well, because they also share the school resource officer with Milliken Middle and Milliken Elementary. They do not have their own. But they would like to have some coaching and some other increase for teachers' salary and things like that. So they can choose how they want to spend it. And that when it comes in, that money is shared. Well, thank you so much. If there's no more questions, I just really appreciate the time tonight and your great questions, and thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next topic is, are there any discussion or comments on the meeting minutes from our last meeting? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of July 24th Board of Trustees meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please call roll.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Burek,
Yes.
Trustee Trailer,
Yes.
and Pro Tem Austin.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Town Administrator's Report, Administrator Singwall.
Yes. Let me pass these down if you would. First off, we did have a meeting with the state with respect to the Martin property and the Josephine, and they were impressed with the work that was done on it, and I don't think there were any items that came up that needed any further attention. I was able to talk with them briefly, and they were very pleased with the work that we've done. There is a meeting coming up tomorrow that Leonard Weiss has got put together with the state to look at the Hillsborough Reservoir, talking about the dam classification and what would be required, and that seems to be coming along real well. It was able to be kept as agricultural use, and that was one of our concerns because it keeps us in an ag status. Don Stonebrick received authorization, got the permit for the RO plant, and we're looking at September 2nd, September 1st? 3rd. September 3rd for a possible grand opening now. Holly, who has been away for a while, asked, was it still scheduled for today? And I think I sent out an email to everybody about that, but we didn't know the date. It's scheduled now for August 3rd,
September.
or September 3rd. We are coming into a phase of a lot of board activity. We're going to have a lot of work to do over a small period of time. And what I'm trying to do is schedule out the rest of the year so that we can be more useful and making sure that we hit all the key items that we need to. At the very bottom are different things that we've discussed that I'll need to work into the work sessions and or on the agenda so that we can have all those items accomplished by year end. Looking at the budget process, Courtney gave me a list of all the meetings that you had last year for budget, where I believe you went through everything on a line item basis on the whole chart of accounts. And I was hopeful that maybe that effort last year was informative and you're aware where some of those numbers come from and how they apply. There's a lot of numbers on that that are not up for consideration. They're fixed numbers. We do have some fluctuations in incomes and expenses, but you know, we have a lot of hard costs in there. What I was hopeful of doing is kind of changing the process a little bit and sit down with different staff members, different directors of departments, and kind of look at a 5-year budget for their department, looking at what the average expendable funds in their area are, and try to plan into the future their major purchases and whatnot, so we can work out kind of a plan to get to where they would like to be in 5 years. When I get that from them, present that to you, we'll have 1 or 2 departments, you know, depending upon size, make those presentations to you. They can argue for their views, show you the pros and cons of it, and see if that's adopted by you. I want to work on a town 5-year CIP also, community investment plan. Like in our land use code discussion, there's a lot of things out there that need to get fixed, and we just can't do it all at once. And if we don't attack it piece by piece, we're not going to get there. So I want to sit down with you, see what the major things that you're looking at are, what you would like to see the town accomplish. I've gone through 4 or 5 of your strategic planning programs, and basically all the stuff's the same. There's a few differences from year to year, but I'd like to have a discussion about that and then put it on a 5-year plan as to how we can get there. And the plans that I've used in the past show the income and expenses to the town, what the spendable funds are each year, what the carryover balances are, and how much we can take this year into this part of the project and just kind of spread it out over a 5-year period of time. And one of the helpful tools is looking at past history. And what I like to do is devise a 10-year history so that you can see how the accounts fluctuate up and down over a period of time. A lot of them are fairly straight line. There are some major changes at different times because of things that have happened in a certain year. You know, if one fund balance went up $500,000 in one year, if you don't remember why that is, we could look at it and say what impacted that. But by knowing your numbers, it allows you to be able to get to where you want to get in the long run. And I'm a numbers guy, and I'm going to try and show you logical progressions into making decisions that we can make the town better, but stay on a course of getting there. I looked at all the meetings you had. I think some of those same situations will probably be needed where we have some Monday meetings, but I really don't want to have a lot of meetings just to have meetings, so I'm going to try and streamline it, but we can always change it if you're not comfortable with it. So I'm hopeful to start earlier, and if you're feeling comfortable with it, we won't be so pressed at the end of the year, but we'll have some time at the end of the year that we can add to it if there's still a lot of question. I would like you to consider the meeting of November 25th rather than November 27th. November 27th is Thanksgiving, and that's a difficult time to get everybody together. So I'd like to move that to Monday the 25th. December the 25th is also a hard time to get people to come to a meeting. And one option is move that meeting to December 23rd on Monday, but most towns that I've talked to over the past, because we did it up north and I talked to a lot of other towns, they just cancel the second meeting in December. That's also an option if we have all of our work done ahead of time. The bills can be approved in the first part of that meeting, and we still pay the bills, and they will go on the 2019 financials. However, you will review them, and we can move the ones through year end to the first part of January if you want, and then have a separate one for the January bills. But that's the way that you deal with that. But the first week of December, or the first meeting of December, we would approve bills so that you do have that covered for reviewing bills in that month.
That's fine with me.
So you can either think about that, or if there's a consensus of the board of maybe eliminating that, we've got time to think about it.
Okay.
The other issues I think we're going to be talking about tonight. Beef and Bean Day went quite well, I believe. I think the staff should be commended for that. I think they did a good job. I think everything came off at a fairly smooth rate.
We are, Milliken Events Committee is writing a letter of the performance of the staff because it was outstanding this year.
Superintendent Arnold made a good point that maybe we should have a judging of the floats. I don't know that, I saw that many floats, I saw a lot of cars and whatnot, but.
Normally we do, but the parade got a little out of control this year, so.
Yeah. The Heritage House, I met with the board of directors there. They had several things that they wished to get addressed. I've got several of them addressed. I got a couple more, but the fence around the Heritage House has been stained. The flower beds are now in a good working manner. The gazebos, all the broken parts and rails have been replaced and they have been stained. Some items on the porch have been fixed. The hot water heater is requested to be moved, and that is scheduled in the next couple of weeks, and I think that kind of covers most of the things that they requested out of their budget last year. One of the things I asked staff to do is, I'm going to be sitting down with the folks from Pinnacle. I need to get some financial reports put together. I want the first 6 months, and I want the staff to go through what they got approved last year in their budget requests, and I want a report of what they had completed by June 30th, and what the timing is for the things that aren't complete, so that we know that they get completed this year. And I'll present that to you as soon as I get that from staff. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, there's nothing on the consent agenda, so we'll move to the action agenda. We've got item 10A, which is site plan application for the pool expansion at TRPR. We're looking for the authorization for signature. Community Development Director Pepper McClanahan.
Mayor Pro Tem and members of the trustees, before you is just a authorization for the town administrator to sign the site plan application. TRPR representatives are here if you have questions for them as well. This is the proposed outdoor pool expansion on town-owned property, which would be to the east of the existing shower house and pool. And because the site plan is a quasi-judicial process and requires to go through the planning commission, you don't have the actual site plan drawing before you this evening in order to preserve the integrity of the process. However, they did provide a conceptual drawing that dates back actually to the original approval of the pool and the bathhouse. It goes back to 2001, I believe. So it kind of shows you the approximate location of the pool expansion. And the budget implications have not been actually identified yet because the town attorney is in process of reviewing the pertinent documents for the operation and maintenance of the property. So that will be conducted concurrent with the site plan process should you approve it tonight. And this project's a cooperative effort between Hall Irwin and TRPR, as well as obviously the town, who is a property owner. So with that, I'll be glad to turn any questions over to Clint Dudley, and just remind you that we're not approving the site plan, just authorization for the town administrator to sign the application so we can start the process.
Hello.
Hello. Did you guys have questions for us? There weren't? Yes.
Yes. So it's not quite clear on the drawing. Will the new pool facility use the existing facilities for shower and bathrooms?
Yes.
Or will it be a whole new?
No. The existing facility was designed to have this addition added onto it. So they're sized appropriately.
So will there have to be any renovation for additional entrances or exits?
Yes, so when the original building was built, there was a hallway that was built that has knockout walls on either side that connects the east to the west side. So they'll just take those knockout walls out and then they'll be connected.
Ah,
Yes.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was my only question. Plan on paving any more parking facility out there at TRPR? The main building, the MAC building?
At my building? Paving
Yes.
more?
Yeah,
I don't know. We hadn't thought about it.
just checking.
We could always use more parking.
I know what she's getting at.
Put barbecuers out there. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
No, I saw it staked out behind the building. What's staked out back there?
Yeah, so
Behind the
what you're looking at is the pool and deck footprint. That's what's staked out back there.
Okay.
Yes.
That's just as big as it's going to get.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Don't be fooled. So if things always look different when they're staked out, and then it looks different when there's a hole, and then it looks different when there's concrete. But it'll be very similar in size to the Roosevelt pool. So if you're trying to picture what it'll look like, it'll be the deck space will be very similar to that, and the pool will be very similar in size.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how deep were you planning? How
So-
deep? is it?
It goes from, the shallowest is 4 feet and the deepest is 6 feet, which is competition size, but not diving board
Not
size.
diving, right.
No,
Okay.
And how many lanes?
6.
6 lanes?
Yes.
Any other questions?
No, we're good, thanks.
All right. Hearing no other questions, I'll take a motion. And thank you very much, Mr. Devlin.
Thank you.
I move to authorize the town administrator to sign the site plan application for the pool expansion project on town property described as Centennial Cooperative Park Replat A, 112 South Centennial Drive.
Second.
Thank you. Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Burek,
Yes.
Trustee Trailer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, item 10B is the consideration of ordinance number 774, adoption procedure for evaluation of applications to waive construction-related fees in limited circumstances related to enhancing the availability of affordable housing. We had a discussion on this at the work session, and there seems to be some confusion on the list of fees and what should be listed in there. Does the town board want to table this item until we have a definitive list, or are we going to move forward?
I think this has to be approved to be able to make a donation, to waive fees.
Right.
Is that correct?
Well,
In order to waive fees, we have to have this ordinance in place.
let me answer that in a bit of a circular way. I think what the town attorney had recommended at the last meeting was that before fees be waived, we should have an ordinance in place with some standards that would be applied to any application. So this ordinance is a follow-up on that. And it does, based on the work session, it does seem to need a few changes, but I think we could probably identify those tonight if the remainder of the ordinance is approvable.
I don't agree on approving stuff of making changes at the board meeting. I think this needs to be tabled, brought back to us in final form, and then vote on it at the next meeting. So I'll put that in motion.
Other opinions? Concerns?
I think it needs to be a little bit more clear on what we're waiving and what we're not waiving, and what the costs of those are.
So I think that the effort could benefit from a little discussion about exactly what needs to be changed. I think I have an idea, but I want that to be clear if we're going to table. I noticed one typo on page 2 that I need to fix. Otherwise, I believe that the only issue is that we want to eliminate from the list of fees essentially everything that doesn't go into the general budget. So anything that's an impact fee or anything that is a fee for an enterprise, we want to delete. So those are the two sets of changes that I'm aware of. If there's anything else, then I just want to be sure I know what those are.
Do you want to move forward with approving without any fees for impact or enterprise?
We have a motion on the floor, and
I'll
I
nobody
guess
second
it's-
it, so it dies.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, trustee Ehrlich?
Nobody seconded the motion made, so it died. So
Okay.
the floor should be open.
okay, just wanted to clarify.
Okay. So what are your thoughts?
If that's all we need, I think we move forward
Yeah.
with approving it, with those changes.
those changes.
To be adopted. It doesn't go into effect for 30 days anyway.
That would be true. And let me be specific about the typo that I mentioned that I think needs to be corrected. It is in section 3, the third line down. This ordinance that elicits information he or she necessary and appropriate. That should say he or she deems necessary and appropriate. So I would recommend that if this is adopted, it be on the condition that we insert the word deems in that place, and that we omit any impact fee, any enterprise fee, and item 21, which is an other category.
All right.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to make a motion?
I move to approve ordinance number 774 as amended.
Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Burek,
Yes.
Trustee Trailer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin.
Yes,
Motion passed.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 10C, consideration of forgiving fees for Habitat for Humanity project. Milliken Housing Authority, Pepper McClanahan, Community Development Director.
Mayor Pro Tem and members of the trustees. So this relates to the ordinance that you just passed, and item that we discussed at the last board meeting. Habitat, or the Milliken Housing Authority is working with Habitat for Humanity to build a project here. They're asking for fee forgiveness, totaling approximately $4,880.73, noting that the $3,150 for estimated use tax could be waived for not-for-profit. In your packet is an email from ProCode, our partner and building official, indicating that they are willing to waive their 50% of the residential electrical fee, the construction meter fee, the electrical meter release inspection fee, plan review fee, and building permit fee. So with that, the total without the use tax would be approximately $1,730.72. And there are representatives of the Housing Authority here to address you should you have any questions.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Mayor Pro Tem. My name is Kelly Matthews. I am the Chair of the Milliken Housing Authority, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the requests that we've discussed. We did send in, and I believe you have in your packet, a clarification of our previous request from the previous meeting, eliminating our request for any enterprise and impact fees. So those are no longer in our request for forgiveness. We have connected with ProCode, and they have agreed that if you agree to forgive those fees that they get a portion of, they will waive their portion.
Any questions, concerns, comments?
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes?
on the way over, we discussed this briefly. What you have in front of you right now is $3,460 in waived fees because the use tax is being eliminated from that. It was suggested that they don't need to have a final approval of this until September. Is that correct? However, they would like a consensus of the board. Last meeting, they said that they were looking for about $5,000 in fees. After this ordinance that you've just passed gives us a few extra items that we can look at, what I would suggest is get a consensus of the board that would approve $5,000 so that they would be happy with that and they could go back to their planning stage and allow myself and Pepper to identify fees that would come to $5,000 along with ProCode and present you with the appropriate request as is laid out in ordinance 744, I believe it is.
774.
774. So I would suggest probably tabling this one, and I'll get those, a new one to you at the next meeting. And that makes everyone happy.
Yes,
Kelly?
absolutely.
All right.
We would agree with that.
Thanks for your patience with us as we work through this.
What are your thoughts?
You gotta get up there, Bill.
Yeah,
And-
everybody's just used to looking at Bill, that's okay.
Yeah, I really don't want to do this because Kelly is our chairman now. Bill Selby, I'm actually vice chair of the committee now. Yes, we're looking for just a commitment that we have the support for the project to move ahead. Because we're struggling to get water, that we wanted to break ground 1st of September. That's not going to happen because we're still struggling to get water. So we will probably come with the actual numbers and such more towards the end of September into October timeframe, hopefully, if we can get this water solution. So.
What we would generally like to see is a consensus of the board of some sort of support for this project going forward. We've talked a lot tonight about Beef and Bean Day. We had a booth at Beef and Bean Day. Overwhelmingly, there was not one negative comment when we said that we were working on a project coming here. The community is in support of it. We would like to see the board is in support of it as well. And whatever way we can find to get there, we will get there.
What's in front of you right now is shy of what they had requested at the last time. I would like to identify different things that are available with the town planner and present that to you at the next meeting so that we can get them that full amount, as long as that's the board's consensus of the amount that they'd like to go for.
Can we identify that now, or
No,
no?
No,
they
we're
asked
not
us to
in.
table it.
We won't have the actual numbers. We'll have to do
Okay.
some calculating.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we table
table?
this,
Yes.
Okay. A motion to table the request from the Housing Authority? Is that right?
that's what they just asked us to do.
Yeah.
Is table this request till the next meeting, so they can look into it further.
Then we'll have an accurate list of fees.
Yeah.
Do I have a
Second.
And could I just get a vote of the board if it's a consensus of the board, just by a verbal response, if you're in favor or not in favor?
I think we need to finish the table first.
Well, I thought you finished, I'm sorry.
Do we
We're
need a,
voting.
We have to call acting town clerk, please call for a vote.
Sorry.
Okay.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
trustee Ehrlich,
Yes,
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Briat,
yes.
trustee Trailer,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Austin.
Yes. I think the board has shown its support for the Milliken Housing Authority through its donations and the support that we're giving this year with this year's donation. So I think when we see the fees, we can make a bit better decision.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. We're down to item 10D, acceptance of the 2018 audited financial statements. Stephen Bowl, sorry, our auditor. This is the final.
Thank you for allowing me to come back and present a couple changes that were found. At the board meeting last month, we went through a draft of the financial statements. After we had gone through a further review, which is something that we always do with our financial statements, there were a couple items that were found for changes, and I appreciate the chance to at least address a few of these and any questions that you may have. Once our review is complete, the only one that changed, so I'm looking at this review here, this financial statement. I think that should be in your packets. Okay. The only one that changed any numbers on the statement of net position, page 10, is that there was a change to the pension plan deferred outflows and pension plan deferred inflows, and it caused for about a $4,000 change to the total net position of the government-wide financial statements of the primary government on page 10. So I want to bring that one to your attention. And page 34 is in the footnotes. It relates to the long-term liabilities, and the disclosure was found to be a little bit lacking. So we went back on the two bonds payable when they are on the refinancing. Further disclosure has to be made in regards to the net proceeds, the reacquisition price of the old debt, and then the cash savings over the life of the loan. So on page 34, you had the two bonds last year, or in 2018, that were refinanced, and those disclosures had to be changed. Those are the two major items that were in the financial statement changes. Were there any questions related to the draft that had been sent out?
No, I do not
I
have.
don't have any.
No.
Okay. We'll move forward with those changes. And I appreciate, it was our sincere desire to have these issued by July 31st. I appreciate the ability to extend those. Let us go through a further review of those financial statements, and so we can get to this presentation and submit within the extension deadline of September 30th. But I think we're looking pretty good to get these issued as soon as possible.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
What caused the extension? Was it something that we didn't give you, or was it just something that was missed by your audit firm?
I wouldn't say that it was missed. We do go through an initial review, and that was my duty. And then on our technical review and our further reviews, there was some changes that had to be made. So I take responsibility for those having to, those changes needing to be made.
How many extensions can a town file on tax returns, or on the audit?
There's only one, a 60-day extension from July 31st to September 30th.
But how many years can they do that, or do they get penalized from the county?
I am not aware that there's a penalty to
Just
more extensions.
You don't file, I guess.
None that I am aware of. We do have a number of towns that we audit that is our procedure, is to issue in August or September.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, or comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move that we accept the amended 2018 financial statements.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Burak,
Yes.
Trustee Trailer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
your time.
Thank you.
Next item up is County Road 46 project. Leonard Wiest, project manager.
Good evening. Somebody must be mad at me putting me at the end of the agenda like this. As you know, we applied for a DOLA Energy Impact Grant for the County Road 46 project. On May 22nd, we got the contract from the state, and they gave us 90 days to award a bid, which would be next Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday. So we're asking you to look at the bids tonight. We opened them on Monday. They came in at the low bid was 2.101,146. Originally, last fall, when we looked at this project, we were estimating 3 million. As we got the 60% drawings done, the engineer lowered that to 2.3. And now it came in at 2.1 with probably another 100,000 on engineering and surveying. So it's going to be 2.2 in that area. With the $600,000 grant, Milliken's cost will be 1.6, 1.7, just like we budgeted. Or actually, we didn't budget because we didn't know what we were going to get. We reserved 3.1 million for this project, Quinteen, and street maintenance. With, if this used up all of it, if we wouldn't have got the grant, there would have been less money for the street maintenance. But the way it looks, the way it worked out with this bid, we can do it all. It was Colson Construction that got the bid. The other one was Connell. Both of them very, very good, reputable, recognized companies in this area. So we're very happy. We've got the railroad approval to pave that easement on 46, which has always looked kind of silly. We've got a few other landowner easements, temporary construction easements along the project that we need to get yet. But we've got a majority of the footage signed up for easements. So they're planning to start as soon as the Hillsborough ditch quits running, hopefully around September 15th. They might come in, do some mobilization, do some earlier work, but a big part of the project is moving that ditch over to widen that east end of County Road 46, so it needs to be dry. You need to know there'll probably be people yelling at you when the project starts, because it isn't going to be open to traffic. It's going to be blocked off. The contractor wants to shut it down, get it done. One farmer's already complaining that it's going to be during his corn harvest, but with the timing of the DOLA grant and everything, there just wasn't any way to get it done this summer. Yes?
The area that goes over the railroad tracks that's not paved, is there a way to prioritize that without a sidewalk being there? There's kids out in the street trying to get over that pass in the dirt.
That will be paved. That's
Yeah,
part of.
but can it be prioritized to be done before anything else, or will it be
No,
done later?
It'll be part of the construction project. And they believe if they get started September 15th, they can have the whole thing done, both ends of it, by Thanksgiving, when the batch plants typically shut down.
That would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Be great.
It is turn nice.
Could you refresh our memories of exactly what the project is and what will be happening?
It's basically two parts, the east end and the west end. The east end was about from where the dirt at the railroad track starts to County Road 25, actually just a little bit east of County Road 25, because we have to do something with the head gates there. And that section of the road where the Hillsborough is right now is only 18 feet of pavement. And two trucks passing with their mirrors are wider than 18 feet, so it's a safety issue. The west end of that project from Irene to Quinteen is a reconstruction of that road that really got beat up when the bridge detours were happening and the truck traffic. That will be, what is the pavement, Bill, 30 feet? The west phase of that, 30. So it'll be widening it. There'll be sidewalks on the north side of that west part. Won't be on the south side because that'll be up to the developer. when that vacant land develops. So, putting the Hillsborough ditch in pipe and paving, widening the road, and reconstructing part of the road is the project.
So will the width of the road be about the same as what it is from Irene east?
Yes.
It'll match up with what's
Yeah.
already there. With the proposed
Well,
middle school?
it won't be along Binder's Farm.
No, just on the south side,
Yeah.
right? So
No,
similar to what's there
Binder's on
now.
the north side. From Irene east, that's not part of the project until you get to the railroad track, or close to the railroad track.
So this one's not.
So it'll be
That's Centennial Farm.
from Irene to the west.
Irene to the west, yeah, across, and
Okay. So starting.
Klein's Farm, we won't put in a sidewalk, but the pavement will be wide.
And so will we have curb and gutter on the south side?
No, because that will be up to the developer when they develop that farm on the south side. And that was one of DOLA's big issues with the grant, was that they didn't want to give a grant for something that a developer's responsible for. So Frank's or whoever, or the school, I just saw the map tonight where the school's going to be over there. They will have to be putting in some curb and gutter and sidewalk and egress and ingress, yeah.
Nice if we did it while the road was being.
Any other questions? Concerns, comments, anything?
I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Colson for the two projects on Road 46.
And I guess to instruct the city attorney to prepare the contract, to have him sign, whatever that would look like.
Okay? Add that in there.
Say it.
Can I have a proper motion?
And to instruct the,
And to instruct the
Thank you.
town attorney to draw up a contract.
Good job.
Or professional services agreement or whatever we need.
Can I have a second?
Second?
Acting Town Clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Wakeman?
yes?
Trustee Ehrlich?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Burek?
Yes.
Trustee Trailer?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Austin.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Leonard.
That's something.
Thank you.
It would be my hope
Yep.
that, and obviously this project's going to be done before we even know if the school district is
Right.
moving forward with the bond proposal, and for sure before the vote is complete, but I would hope that we can take into consideration what that development might be as we move forward with this project.
But we can't
Yes.
put in
I
sidewalks
know,
and
there's
curbs.
nothing to fix it.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do because of the grant.
So we're aware, that's all we
Yeah.
can do.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any updates on the Western truck? Is there anything this meeting? Pepper McClanahan, Town Planner, Community Development Director.
More charges.
Mayor Pro Tem and trustees. The certified floodplain manager and myself conducted a site review on August 6th. All but a very small amount of the dirt the fill has been removed. there is some additional activity going on, and we got a complaint today about some dust. So I asked our police chief, to go out there and take a look. And they're, I think, moving some stuff around over by a pond. That does not alleviate any of the other agencies' violations, such as the wetland issue and that type of thing, but we are working with with the property owner's consulting engineer to get those modeling results done. So removal of the fill may remedy our issue, but may not alleviate the other agencies' issues. So we're working to kind of move out of this if in fact our issue's been addressed, and support the other agencies however we can, but we're not responsible obviously for their individual regulations. So that's where we are. It's kind of good news, bad news, I guess you might say. Fixes one may cause other worsening issues with the other.
So that would be FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers?
FEMA, we're working with for the NFIP program, so it would be the Army Corps and the Fish and Wildlife for that mouse habitat.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will go into a short break before the executive session, but before we do, I'll take a motion for the executive session.
What about information?
We can do the police report.
What?
What about the police reports?
We don't do
It's
that.
just information for us.
Oh.
Do we have that wording on that?
Yeah.
We have a thing that we have to say. What is it?
Here's take a motion to go into,
Yep. Executive session.
Make a motion, we go into executive session. CRS 24-6-402 4F to discuss personnel matters.
take a second.
Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Barat,
Yes.
Trustee Trailer,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Austin.
Yes. So let's take a 10-minute break,
Uh,
and then we'll come back. Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem, discussions with Cheryl prior to this meeting was if we did go into executive session for employee matters, she suggested that you might consider inviting, I would imagine me, but also the attorney to visit, and then we would record and have the recording of the executive session. But last time we did that, when she wasn't here and Linda was here, I wasn't instructed by the board to be allowed to turn the recording over to Cheryl if you feel that that's appropriate. Executive sessions are such that no recordings or conversations be had with anyone outside the meeting. And Linda and I were kind of in a quandary. I've got her recorder and I need to get it to her. What I ended up doing was downloading it and holding it and then sending it to Linda. But we never did get officially approval to give it to Cheryl, the clerk. So we got to remember to do that since Cheryl's not here. But who would you like to attend the executive session with the board?
I think it's with you and Town Attorney for guidance.
Good enough, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.